They said it was about safety. They said it like that word meant everything, like it could smother joy, drown laughter, and flatten a summer in one cold email. If your HOA's ever killed fun with a smile and a signature, this story is yours. Hit like if you've ever slid across a wet lawn and lived to tell the tale. Drop your childhood summer memories in the comments. And subscribe, because this one ends with water, whistles, and more defiance than they ever saw coming. It started with a slip and slide, bright blue plastic, rolled out across a neighbor's front yard like a summer flag. A hose hooked up at the top, a few foam bumpers along the sides, and 6 shrieking kids taking turns launching themselves like missiles into the grass. It was perfect. It was innocent. It was 5 days before everything went to hell. We moved into Sunridge Oaks that spring. 3-bedroom fixer-upper, corner lot, decent yard, nothing fancy. It was the kind of neighborhood that looked safe in every way. Mailboxes with flowers, families on bikes, dogs with better dental plans than their owners. HOA fees were mid-tier, rules reasonable, or so I thought. I was a dad. I was trying. And for 2 full months, everything felt right, until the blue slide showed up. At first, it was just one house, then 2, then 3. Parents dragging out cheap vinyl slides from storage, throwing together sprinklers, running hoses under the sun, while the kids hollered and skidded until dusk. Nobody complained, nobody got hurt, until Caroline Brinks saw it. Caroline, if you know the type, you already see her. Crisp white blouse, high-waisted slacks, clipboard that materializes from nowhere, and a voice that could snap a tree branch. She wasn't just on the HOA board. She was the HOA board, at least in her mind. The title was Property Standards Chair, but everyone called her the Law of the Lawn. She lived 3 houses down from me, and she hated anything that didn't look like it belonged on a real estate flyer. The morning after the 3rd slide went up, she made her rounds, not with a smile, not with a knock, but with flyers, printed on thick, cream-colored paper, left carefully, ceremoniously, on every front porch like a curse. Effective immediately under HOA provision 4.7.2, the use of temporary water structures, e.g. slip-and slides, inflatable pools, water games, is suspended. This includes devices that cause prolonged ground saturation or may lead to surface instability. Below that, the HOA logo and her name in bold. I held the flyer like it might burn through my skin. My daughter Claire stood beside me barefoot, holding a towel, still dripping from the backyard. She looked up. "What's suspended?" I looked at her. Everything. The backlash was instant. Parents started texting. The community Facebook group, dead for months, lit up like a Christmas tree. Who decided this? Nobody voted. Is this even legal? What instability? It's a hose, not a flood. The post with the most likes simply read, Caroline hates joy. Confirmed. I didn't comment, but I watched. The next day, the slides were gone, rolled up, boxed, tucked back into garages like contraband. Not out of agreement, out of exhaustion. No one wanted the fines, the warnings, the fights. No one but me. Because here's the thing, I wasn't just a dad. I was a former college event coordinator. And in another life, I ran water festivals for 600 people without a single accident. You think I was going to let Caroline kill this summer? Not a chance. That night, I sat at the dining table with a pen, a yellow notepad, and every ounce of petty I'd buried since moving in. At the top, I wrote 2 words, water, Olympics. Then I underlined them. Hard. If they wanted structure, I'd give them structure. If they wanted rules, I'd write a handbook. And if they wanted a reason to shut us down, they'd have to work for it, because I was going to do this right, and big, and legal. The plan came together like clockwork, or maybe like spite in spreadsheet form. I started with a framework, literally. Rules, schedule, waiver templates, even a proposed splash zone map for the common green space near the cul-de-sac. I drafted a proposal so airtight it might as well have come with legal footnotes. If Caroline wanted order, I'd hand her a laminated binder. But first I needed people. So I made a call. To all of them. Amanda, 2 doors down, mother of 3, architect of the original slip and slide. Derek and Rena, the quiet couple across the street with twins, and a reputation for organizing the best block parties. Jake, semi-retired firefighter, who'd already been caught watering his lawn at unauthorized intervals and was hungry for redemption. We met in my garage. 6 folding chairs, 1 whiteboard, no kids allowed. And we planned. What if we did teams, Amanda asked, eyes already lighting up. Like family-based or by street. And events, I added. Timed relays, sponge toss, kiddie pool kayaking. Obstacle course? Derek offered. Rena. Drip dodgeball. Jake grinning. Hydration station referees. We were off. It was beautiful. By the end of the night, we had 12 events, 6 potential teams, a full water usage protocol, spectator zones to protect uninvolved neighbors, a safety checklist longer than a medical waiver, and most important, a name. The Sunridge HOA Water Olympics. Bold, branded, bulletproof. The next step, make it official. I submitted the paperwork like a gentleman, printed, hole-punched, and dropped in the HOA mailbox. Addressed to the board, not Caroline specifically. I included a cover letter citing relevant HOA activity exceptions, a signed petition from 38 residents' liability waivers, and a line in bold, "We respectfully request HOA approval to proceed with the 2023 Water Olympics as a community morale initiative." I even added a PS. "This will not involve any slip and slides unless explicitly permitted." It was flawless. And for 2 days, silence. On the 3rd day, I got an email from Caroline. Subject line, Water Event Proposal. "Mr. Winters, while your efforts are noted, I must inform you that your proposal fails to comply with HOA safety alignment policy. The HOA does not recognize water-based athletic events as sanctioned activities. Your request is denied. Regards, Caroline Brinks, Property Standards Chair." No signature, no board vote, just rejection by decree. I didn't take it personally, because I expected it. She never intended to approve, which meant I had to do the one thing she never anticipated: get democratic. I checked the HOA bylaws, the real ones. Buried in Article 6.3, subsection D, any event not directly approved by the board may proceed with 50+1 resident signatures in favor, provided the event does not breach municipal codes. Amanda and I canvassed the block. Clipboards, smiles, stories about summer fun and hydration, and bringing the neighborhood together after a hard few years. We got 64 signatures in 3 days, and I sent Caroline the notice. She responded within the hour. "You may be in technical compliance, but if this event leads to any property damage, medical issue, or noise violation, it will be shut down immediately. You are not protected from consequences." It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. One I printed and pinned to the wall above the Water Olympics planning chart. Next to it, I wrote in red, "Consequences are earned." The next week was prep. Every family built their own team flag. Derek spray-painted pool noodles for relay batons. Amanda ordered 300 biodegradable water balloons. Jake roped in his cousin, an EMT, to be on site for hydration safety. Even the quiet neighbors started getting involved. One offered to build a start-finish arch out of PVC. Another printed event maps on glossy cardstock. Kids practiced with squirt guns. Teenagers tested splash zones. And Caroline? She stayed silent until the morning of the event. I was taping off the spectator zone with caution ribbon when she appeared. Blazer, heels, clipboard, and a face that said, "This is beneath me, but I came to watch it burn." She didn't approach, didn't speak, just stood on the sidewalk like a health inspector, waiting for rats to run out of the walls. Amanda whispered, "Do we ignore her?" I said, "We welcome her." Then I handed Caroline a branded lanyard, HOA Water Olympics, official observer. She didn't take it, but she didn't leave either. At 10 a.m. sharp, the first whistle blew. Kids raced through sponge relay tunnels. Parents tossed soaked shirts over makeshift goalposts. Someone brought a water cannon, homemade, powered by a pump in pure suburban defiance. Laughter echoed, phones came out, so did folding chairs, popsicles, and impromptu lemonade stands. We had a scoreboard, a playlist, even a team of dads in American flag tank tops who ran the splash ball tournament like it was the Super Bowl. And through it all, Caroline stood there, watching, mouth tight, pen twitching, unable to find a single violation. Then the drone arrived. Jake's nephew in from college had one. He flew it overhead for official footage. The clip went viral before the day even ended. A slow pan over dozens of families laughing, cheering, soaked in light and water and rebellion. Someone added music. Someone else posted it to the local news group. By 4 p.m., the HOA email got 3 inquiries from nearby communities. How did you organize this so cleanly? Is there a guide? Can we replicate this in Brookview Hills? We had done it. And Caroline? She had to stand there and watch it happen. The best moment of the day? It wasn't the water balloon finale or the synchronized sprinkler dance the toddlers did without knowing it. It wasn't even the relay between Team Culdasplash and the Wet Bandits, which ended with a 12-year-old high-fiving his grandpa mid-slide. It was this. At 3:47 p.m., just as the giant tarp obstacle course wrapped up, Caroline tried to call code enforcement, and no one picked up. I only know this because Amanda, who was standing nearby, saw her clearly, stepping away from the crowd, phone to her ear, lips tight, pacing slowly with that bureaucratic panic that only surfaces when the rules fail to bend things back into place. She didn't shout, didn't wave her clipboard, but her mouth moved fast. And when the call dropped, she just stood there, wet grass underfoot, children laughing within earshot, and no one listening to her anymore. That night, the whole neighborhood glowed, literally. Jake brought out solar-powered tiki torches. Someone strung up LED lights around the park gate. Parents passed around grilled corn and soda cans like it was a movie premiere. And the award ceremony? We had one. Of course we did. Wooden medals handcrafted by Rena and the twins. Categories included most soaked, fastest splash entry, best slide recovery, neighborhood spirit, adult, HOA compliance, ironically given. Guess who won that last one? I did. Everyone laughed as Amanda hung the medal around my neck. Even Caroline, standing 30 feet away, had no choice but to hear the cheers. The next morning, the HOA inbox exploded. Not in outrage, in praise. Parents, grandparents, teenagers who never usually emailed anyone. That was the best day we've had in years. Our kid hasn't smiled like that since lockdown. We're doing this again, right? Please tell me Caroline doesn't get to cancel this next year. Even Jake, previously Switzerland on everything HOA related, posted a photo of the event on the official community page with the caption, "Unity, not uniformity. Sunridge at its best." That was when it started to shift. Caroline didn't respond, not for 2 full days. Then on the 3rd, an email appeared. Cold, formal, but telling. In light of the recent water-themed event, the HOA board will convene to review provisions related to temporary recreational installations. The current suspension of water-based lawn activities remains in effect until further clarification. But here's the thing, no one cared, because the people had already voted, with their towels, their cheers, their slip-scarred elbows and grass-stained joy. I thought about letting it fade, letting the event speak for itself. But then Connor, Amanda's son, came by with a folder full of photos and quotes from the kids. He wanted to make a scrapbook for his school project. He handed me a page titled Favorite Part. One kid had written, "When grown-ups didn't tell us to stop." Another, "The grown-ups were fun too." I knew then, this wasn't a one-off. This was the beginning. So I drafted a new proposal, not to Caroline, to the board, a formal submission for annual recognition of the Water Olympics as a sanctioned community event. It included proposed safety protocols, a liability policy outline, event coordination templates, local press coverage highlights a parent endorsement letter signed by 56 residents. It was thorough, kind, unapologetic. I delivered it in a manila envelope with a note that said, "We're not asking permission to have fun. We're offering you a chance to be part of it." Caroline didn't reply. but Jake did. He called, voice calm, measured. "We're putting it to a vote next week," he said. "You might want to be there." I said, "Front row." The night of the vote, the community hall filled fast. More people than I'd ever seen at a board meeting. Kids with hand-drawn signs that said, "Water, joy, and let us splash." Parents in t-shirts that read, "Team Wet Bandits," and "I break for balloons." I wore my ironic HOA compliance winner medal. Amanda brought snacks. Jake opened the meeting with a statement. "We've received overwhelming feedback from the community, and tonight we'll vote on formalizing the Water Olympics as an annual HOA-supported event." Then he paused. Looked to Caroline. She cleared her throat. "It's not about water, it's about precedent. If we let this stand, we open the door to all kinds of informal events. Foam parties, pop-up bounce houses. It undermines structure." Murmurs in the crowd. Jake let her finish, then nodded. "Point taken. Let's vote." The result, 4-1. Motion passed. Caroline didn't speak again. She gathered her folder and left before the cookies were even served. Outside, under the porch lights, the kids cheered. Parents hugged. One guy sprayed a tiny water gun into the air like it was New Year's. And me? I stood there holding the official stamped copy of the vote. It felt heavy, not because of the paper, but because of what it meant. Not just a win, a tradition, born in protest, raised in joy, built to last. By mid-July, it was official. Water Olympics would return next year. Sanctioned, scheduled, celebrated. The HOA even updated the community calendar to include it, right between the spring tree trimming week and fall leaf disposal guidelines. That one little rectangle on the calendar meant something real. Caroline didn't fight it. She didn't post about it. She didn't even show up at the next meeting. Her power didn't just fade, it dissolved. And we got to work. The Olympics weren't just an event anymore. They were a movement. Derek and Rena started a group chat called Splash Task Force with 42 members by week's end. Amanda created a Google Drive folder labeled WO 2024 Planning Materials. It included spreadsheets, maps, and a list of local vendors who wanted to sponsor next time. I fielded an email from a nearby HOA asking if we could consult on launching their own version. People were already submitting event ideas: giant sponge wall crawl, lawn bowling with watermelons, slip and paint relay, supervised, sprinkler limbo. What had started as pushback had become momentum. Even the quietest neighbors, they couldn't wait. And yet something felt unfinished. Not the event, that was locked in, but the origin, the why. I couldn't stop thinking about Claire, my daughter, holding a towel and asking, "What's suspended?" It stuck with me, because that was the real issue. Fun had been suspended, spontaneity, laughter. It wasn't about slip and slides or hose pressure. It was about who got to say yes and who didn't need to ask anymore. So I wrote a letter, not to Caroline, to everyone. I posted it in the newsletter right after the monthly budget update and the reminder about trash bins. "Dear neighbors, a few months ago, we were told to stop, not because we broke anything, not because someone got hurt, but because it didn't look the way it always had. We were told it was a rule, a policy, a standard. But what we learned is that not every standard is worth keeping. Some are just there because someone said so a long time ago, and no one asked why. So we asked, and then we built something better. Not rebellious, not reckless, just joyful and prepared, and ours. Thank you for showing up, for getting wet, for laughing harder than you have in years. Let's keep saying yes, together." Simple, but it hit. The next week, someone chalked "Yes Zone" on the community sidewalk. Then someone else added, "This is a designated fun area." And then the stickers showed up. No one admitted to making them, but they spread fast. Certified splash compliant, I break for sprinklers, ask me about my balloon toss time. They were on mailboxes, coolers, even Jake's truck. I should have seen it coming, the moment where Caroline snapped. But when it finally happened, it still felt like a punchline. It was a Sunday, hot, quiet, ordinary. I was coiling the hose in the front yard when I saw her, marching, not pacing, not walking, marching, straight toward the community board kiosk near the mailboxes. She had a manila folder, a roll of masking tape, and a printed notice in red ink. I dropped the hose and walked over. She didn't look at me, just started taping the paper to the board. I waited, then read it aloud. Residents are reminded that unapproved messaging, signage, or public postings are subject to removal and fines. Stickers defacing property will be reported. Unauthorized use of the term Olympics may also carry legal consequences. I blinked, then looked at her. You're serious? She finally looked back. I warned you, she said. You started something dangerous. Undermining order. Undermining me. It wasn't anger in her eyes, it was something else. Resentment, loss, loneliness maybe. But I didn't feel pity. Not now. Not after everything. I pointed at the notice. Caroline, it's over. She scoffed. We'll see. Amanda removed the notice within the hour. No one fined her. Jake texted me a photo of his own mailbox with a Splash Zone HQ sticker. And then someone created a parody account on the community page called Unofficial Water Enforcement. It posted things like, reminder, all children must remain dry between 2 to 4 p.m. Evaporation is theft. Water balloons must be spherical, no rugby shapes. It was childish, petty, perfect. And Caroline? She stopped coming outside. 2 weeks later, her house hit the market. No open house, just a listing, no farewell email, just a for sale sign. Amanda told me she'd submitted her resignation from the board, effective immediately, citing health and personal balance. No one protested. No one asked why. We just moved forward with lighter steps, wetter lawns, and louder laughter. I walked the green one evening, long after the sun dipped low. My daughter ran ahead of me, kicking a soaked sponge into the dusk, her laughter echoing like a bell. And I thought, this is the point. This is what all of it was about. Permission to be here, to be loud, to be kids, even the grown ones. The next summer, it wasn't even a question. Water Olympics was back, scheduled months in advance, budget approved, vendors confirmed. It wasn't resistance anymore. It was tradition. The flyer came out in early May. Sunridge HOA presents Second Annual Water Olympics Games. Teams, community, joy. July 15th. Main Green, all ages welcome. No one argued, no one worried. Even the HOA board promoted it in the newsletter like it was their idea all along. Jake called it the most productive rebellion we've ever seen. This time we went bigger. New events, real printed shirts, a dunk tank with Jake volunteering as the target, in full board polo. Connor ran social media. Amanda brought a mobile snow cone machine. Someone donated custom medals with tiny engraved water droplets. We had a guest referee, a PE teacher from the local middle school who showed up with a whistle and a stopwatch like she was training Olympians. And Caroline? She was gone. Moved to another development, one with a more structured code base, according to real estate rumor. She never sent a goodbye. No one asked for one. That July afternoon, as the first event kicked off and a mob of kids lined up at the sprinkler relay, I stood at the edge of the green and just watched. Claire was on Team Aqua Sharks. She wore blue war paint and had duct taped her name to a bucket helmet. Her battle cry sounded like a scream laugh. I looked around and saw something better than victory. I saw continuity, not control, not submission, just people building something and choosing to keep it. Amanda walked up beside me at one point, drink in hand, hair soaked from the Dodge bucket round. Still glad you did it? She asked. I nodded. I don't even remember why we weren't allowed anymore. She laughed. Because it didn't fit a brochure. Now it fit everything. When the sun started to drop and the medals were handed out, we all gathered under the big community tree. Someone started a chant, "One more game! One more game!" But even the kids were running out of steam. Claire fell into the grass beside me, completely soaked, grinning so wide her cheeks hurt. "Dad," she said breathless, "we have to win next year. You came in second." Second is just practice for first. Fair. That night, I sat on the porch with a lemonade, watching families walk home in flip-flops and beach towels. One little kid tugged at his mom's hand, saying, "I want to live here forever." Another chased a balloon across the lawn like it was the last treasure on earth. No rules were broken, no notices posted, just light and air and the smell of wet grass and something better than victory, belonging. So if you're watching this, if you've been told no by someone who thinks rules are more important than people, remember this: they don't own your summer. They don't own your laughter. They don't own your community, even if they sign the letters. If the gate closes, bring water, bring music, bring people, and build your own Olympic Games. You'd be amazed what you can start with a hose and a reason. Thanks for watching. Smash like if you've ever turned a no into a party. Tell us your favorite childhood summer moment in the comments. And subscribe, because next time, we're throwing a glow stick night war, and everyone's invited.